We've approached the 6 o'clock hour, so we'll call the meeting. Good evening and welcome to this evening's meeting of the Woodbury County Board of Adjustments. Today's date is August 7th and the time is 6 p.m. Tonight's meeting will be audio taped and minutes will be prepared. In respect to all parties, we ask those present to turn off your cell phones or to set to vibrate. Those in attendance are asked to legibly complete the attendance sheet on the front of the table. I would like to take a moment to review the procedures that the board will follow tonight. First, the board will handle normal housekeeping agenda items. Then each application on the agenda, I will open public hearing on them. The planning and zoning staff will then present the staff report, including staff recommendations. Any letters or other communications received from the public prior to the hearing will be entered into the record. The applicant will then have an opportunity to present his or her case and respond to the staff report. Next, we will hear comments from the public. If you would like to speak either in support or against the application, you must come to the microphone. Then please first state your name and your address for the record. All interested parties shall be heard, but repetitious comments should be avoided. Repetitious or irrelevant comments may be ruled out of order by the chair. I ask that you remain respectful and courteous with all your comments at all times. After all public comments have been heard, the staff and the applicant may make a closing. The hearing shall then be closed by a motion and a vote. Thereafter, no further comments from the staff, public, or applicant may be heard unless asked for by the board. The board shall then deliberate the case and may ask questions of the staff or any party offering testimony. However, such questions do not reopen the hearing for additional comments from the public unless so requested or approved by the board. The board will then formulate a vote on a motion. The motion will typically either grant or deny the requested application. Any board member who has a communication to place in the record of this meeting should do so prior to the beginning of deliberation of the respective agenda item. Any person desiring to appeal the board's decision to the court of record may do so within 30 days after the filing of this decision with the Planning and Zoning Office. So with that, is there anybody in the audience that wishes to be heard that's not on the board agenda? You can step up to the mic and state your name and your address.
Dennis Ortner from Danbury. My address is 208 Liston Street. I live in the town of Danbury. My property lies to the east of the property that we're going to discuss tonight. Mm-hmm. And I would just, do you want me to,
that's on the agenda item, so this is part of that. This
okay.
Is something not related to this here.
This is something we would want to come forward and talk about. Any other item that's not on the agenda.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, okay. We'll ask for a public comment on the agenda item.
Okay. I never been here, so
nope, that's no problem. Nice to meet you, Dennis. Okay, so with that, we'll move to the second agenda item, which is approving the minutes from the board meeting of March 6th, 2017. We have a motion and a second to approve the minutes as presented. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed, same sign. Number 3 is a public hearing and approval of a conditional use permit application in reference to the Horse Arena and Event Center complex for property owners Cynthia DeRocher Anderson and Patrick G. DeRocher on 11 rural Woodbury County parcels in section 16, 17, and 21 of Kedron Township. So with that, I ask John.
Your board specifically tasked holding a public hearing on this agenda item and to vote on the approval of a conditional use permit application. The applicants wish to develop and operate a multi-use event center complex within rural Woodbury County. The development of multiple uses will occur within 11 parcels, all owned by the applicants. The location is 2 miles north of Anthony and 0.3 miles west of Highway 31 right-of-way. arena, bleachers, horse stalls, header cabins, striping, chutes, a tap room, saddle and prepping area, wash bay, restrooms, an office, concession, kitchen, and storage areas. The upper level will contain 9 residential apartment rental units. The Office of Planning and Zoning has previously received a building permit application for this structure. The application was approved in March 2017 as the applicant stated the structure was solely for personal uses. The applicant subsequently determined the primary use of the structure will be for business uses. Your Commission's conditional use permit review is required due to the fact significant business use of the structure is now planned. The average unadjusted corn suitability rating for the parcel where the structure grading will occur is 63.11. The application requests the following to be conditionally permitted uses. The uses requested are a mixture of indoor and outdoor uses or activities. Number 1, an event center for rodeo events, clinics, receptions, auctions, exhibitions, and meetings. A bed and breakfast type lodging and food services. It should be noted that beer and/or alcohol liquor license applications may be considered. Number 2, parking areas for complex attendees. There's a typo here on numbering, so we're off one. I'm going to go to number 3 and call it equestrian trail riding and stable facility rental. Number 4 will now be retail sales in the areas of camper-related groceries, camper-related supplies, horse supplies, tax supplies, and animal health services. Number 5, outdoor recreational events including archery, horseshoes, etc. Number 6, the appropriate signage on the facility, including the potential for signage along certain private property or rights of way that we'll be discussing a little bit later. And last of all, number 7, campgrounds and a recreational vehicle park, a portion of which will have utility hookup. Written notice of this agenda item's public hearing was mailed to the property owners within 500 feet of the 11 DeRocher parcels. A similar notice was mailed to those property owners and occupants of residences who were not on the 500-foot mailing list, but own property adjacent to the project's Wolf Creek Trail roadway access segments. What that basically means is we notified everybody who own property which might have vehicular traffic passing their house to get to the facility. That wasn't very many more, but it was some.
And not a requirement though, correct?
Not required. When we sent your packets out by mail approximately a week ago, we had received only one comment from the parties that were mailed that letter, and it was by email from Karen Diamond. We responded to that and provided a copy in your packet, so you've seen that. I can read the entire one into the record, but we've got several here. I guess it deserves it. A copy of this will also go into the record. This is dated July 31st, 2017. Mr. Palello, this is from Karen Diamond of 440 Parkwood Boulevard in Pleasantville, Iowa. Mr. Palello, I received your notice on the application filed by Cynthia and Patrick DeRocher for a conditional use permit on parcels of land near property that I own with my siblings. I am writing to register my objection to said conditional use permit and my concerns regarding same. As a neighboring landowner, I oppose a see a problem, I don't feel it necessary to require dust control. But I'd like to see the conditional use permit allow the flexibility to request a dust palliative application should traffic grow to levels that make it necessary. The existing driveway may be used for access to the property. If additional driveway accesses are needed, the landowner should contact our department for review of any proposed access location. The event center location is on a roadway that is appropriate for agricultural and related uses. I do not have concerns with the proposed location from a roadway adequacy perspective. There appears to be more than enough area off the road to provide parking without any parking on the road or within the right-of-way. No parking or storage of equipment or trailers will be allowed within any county right-of-way. And he closes, I have no other concerns or issues with this conditional use application. If there are any more questions or issues that arise later, please contact this office. And again, that's from Mark J. Narr, County Engineer. The next response we received was from Michelle Clausen Rosendahl. She is the Director of Siouxland District Health. Her email was received today, August 7th. Hi, John. I had hoped to attend the public hearing tonight for this permit, but will not be able to do so. I wanted to comment that while Siouxland District Health does not have any opposition to the granting of this permit, we want to make sure to note that the proposed use of the property will require several permits through our office. In addition to the well, which will likely be permitted through DNR, and the septic, the operation of any kind of hotel motel, including a bed and breakfast, and any kind of food and beverage operation, including concessions, groceries, food and beverage services, must meet the Iowa code requirements and would be permitted through this office. I encourage the developers to contact us early in the design process, and we can provide them with the requirements prior to any construction taking place. Thank you, Michelle Clausen. Okay. And then finally, from an administrative standpoint, there's a letter here to your chairman from the chairperson of the Woodbury County Zoning Commission relative to the standards within section 2.02:9.e. You're familiar with this. With every conditional use permit, the Zoning Commission reviews the application. That event, I think, took place on July 24th. Yeah, July 24th. In that, I'm just going to read the highlights of this. Most of the letter lays out each of the eight or so standards. And they're stating to your chairman that they met on the 24th to review the above referenced conditional use permit. Site plan related documents were reviewed as they related to the staging and operation of the rodeo arena and event center complex within the 11 parcels so stated. By this communication, Woodbury County Zoning Commission advises the County Board of Adjustment of its findings that the application meets or can meet each of the below listed standards established within Woodbury County Zoning Ordinance subsection 2.02-9.f. Those standards are listed therein, and in their conclusion and recommendation, they state Woodbury County Zoning Commission finds that all standards of the county's ordinance within the subsection are can be met with the conditional use applied for. Accordingly, the Zoning Commission recommends the applicant's conditional use permit be approved, providing conditions being placed upon the permit to remove or mitigate any adverse impact which your board believes the public record supports. The Zoning Commission recommends any permit approval for this project specifically consider including the following: that the applicant make every effort to place signage within State Highway 31 right-of-way to direct traffic to the proposed site via the northern intersection of State Highway 31 and Wolf Creek Trail. Using this northern segment of Wolf Creek Trail will direct traffic along a shorter gravel roadway distance and reduce impacted Wolf Creek Trail residences' drives to zero. The southern Wolf Creek received an email from Mr. John Diamond of 3034 Randy Lane, Farmers Branch, Texas. Mr. Diamond is a sibling of Karen Diamond that we previously read her notes into the record. Mr. Diamond states the following. Ms. Pello, I received your notice of the application by Cynthia and Patrick DeRocher. I am writing to register my objection to this conditional use permit. As an adjacent landowner, I oppose the proposed commercial use of these AP zone parcels. The proposed uses listed in your letter are not compatible with an agriculturally zoned area. Access to the proposed development would be along Wolf Creek Trail, a lightly traveled gravel surface road. The large increase in traffic will bring dust and safety issues to a rural road not designed for high volumes of traffic. Your letter also mentions the possibility of alcohol sales combined with other proposed uses and disposal would significantly and negatively transfer the quiet rural area of Woodbury County. I'm also concerned that the proposal seems to be very open-minded in terms of the uses allowed. There is no mention of any uses that are not allowed or maximum number of occupants or vehicles per day. In summary, I am open to this conditional use permit for many reasons, and that's to deny the application. Again, from John Diamond, Farmers Branch, Texas. Next, received today from Mayor Alan Pittman and nearby property owner Alan Pittman. Mr. Pello, concerning the proposed Rocher project, as an adjoining landowner and mayor of Hampton, I urge you to vote yes on the Rocher project. Economic development for our area is always a priority for our community. Comments that I have heard from area residents have all been very positive. Please vote to approve. Sincerely, Alan Pittman, landowner and mayor of Hampton. And this afternoon by phone, this is the recap of a telephone call, both with staff and myself. It's from Royce Miller, who lives at 406 Inez. That's in
this when the applicant wants it then. Any questions before we open? I imagine it would probably be appropriate to ask from Cynthia DeRocher Anderson and or Patrick DeRocher Anderson to present their case.
I'm Pat DeRocher, 1953 Wolf Creek Trail. We reside. We purchased the property in 2007, and it's always been a recreational place for saddle club trail rides, and of course social hour afterwards. And we have been rained out for the last 3 years. On every event that we tried to schedule, I established some weather protected camping areas so we wouldn't have to deal with that, but that still doesn't take care of the rain days that we can't it started out to be just a friendly gesture that we was going to build a building, and then the zoning felt that we need to list anything that could possibly happen in the future. We've had some inquiries because of the scenic area to have a wedding or something of the sort. Of course, we've already entertained some people and a resident, a second resident that we have there for a guest house because they have local events when they came into town for graduation or something. So we furnish houses home for a weekend. We do not want to rent it on a permanent basis, nor do we want these apartments, they call it, to be a permanent thing. This is our residence. We don't want to have any more commotion than what the neighbors would like to have either. We entertained the thought, and we've had people ask about like a summer camp for kids, for horses. And that was one of the reasons why we would have the basically overnight accommodations. It would just be a bed and a shower. It's not living quarters on a permanent basis. My wife has been going 2 or 3 times a year out of state to go to horse clinics, educational activities, which they really wanted to come into our area, and it's beneficial to people. I know we have 4-H and other activities that help kids with livestock and horses and stuff, and I believe they specialize in horses. And so when those events, traffic. We made arrangements with Mark's Industries for dust control. We've looked into all these different areas. And if need be, there's the other things we're going to have to look into. There's been several permits that was indicated to me that we'd have to have for the food and the housing that we're providing on a temporary basis. So it's an ongoing research that we're going to have to keep doing. We've had a lot of interest. Mobile, several years ago, we tried to take collections and donations and put up an event center, horse arena event center. Never came about. Sioux City's been trying to do it. Baumgart's donated a big chunk of money. It still hasn't happened. Like I said, I'm doing this because I want to do it for myself and for my friends. And I'm sorry if people feel that it's going to impose upon them. I went to a conditional use permit up in Plymouth County because I have a business up there. And we've had no problems. There was resistance of that too. And we're welcome up there. You know, we've established ourselves that we're going to be tidy and responsible. So, like I say, this is our home, and I won't condone anything out of the ordinary because that's what I have.
Thank you very much. We'll like to give an opportunity for anybody else to speak. Is there anybody else either for or against this permit? You come to the mic and state your name and address.
I'm Bill Ortner, adjacent landowner. I live in 616 Peach Street, Danbury. I am not against this, but I have a concern. If you bring the map back up, okay, go take it to the left.
All right, well, I got to get someplace
Yeah.
else to do that. Bear with me here.
The main thing my brother and I are concerned with, actually go to the left some more. You can see, no, I'm having you go the wrong way. Go to your right. The water runs down through us, and that's the main thing we're concerned about. You can see how sharp them bends are, and that creek floods. And we just want to make sure that when anything's built, the water spreads out up there on the Rocher's property, and we want to make sure that something don't get changed that makes that water come even faster, because then if you go to the right a little more and up a little, that's actually my brother's property you see in the sharp bend on there on the corn ground. Nope, the other way again, I'm sorry. And now what? Yeah, nope, the other way. Down. So there's mine, and if that water comes too fast, it's going to flood all them bottoms and destroy the crop. And that's the only thing we're
Is this the
concerned
parcel you're worried about?
That is my partial. The one to the left is my brother's partial.
To the left.
And you know, if we could straighten them bends, but the government won't let us straighten them bends, we would gladly just straighten the bends and everybody'd be happy. And we'd all be happy. That's exactly right. So, but that's my only concern. We're definitely not against what you want to do. We need all the development and all we just want to know and voice our concern.
You have a question for you, please?
So would it be fair, Mr. Workner, that you're requesting that any construction guarantee that water drainage leaving the graded parcel not leave at any higher rate than presently exists? Would that be the right way to word it?
That would be the correct way to word it.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
And I'm guessing your concern is additional runoff from property that won't absorb the water like it
Exactly.
naturally does.
Or anything gets changed. I mean, if you need to go up there, and I understand he needs to raise the ground, we just need to be careful how we do it so it don't make the water come on us faster.
Well, when you add whatever the footprint of the building is, that's water that's not going to be absorbed into the ground. So there will be some runoff.
Yeah, and
That's your
we
concern.
just need to somehow try to protect us a little bit.
Okay.
And I do appreciate it because I do own one of the property, one of the 4 houses also, that if there was a problem, they would do dust control. I thank them for that. So,
Seems to be a common concern with
yeah,
this.
good. your main entrance.
Oh, okay. I can come out.
Yeah.
I'm Dennis Ortner. My property lays right to the east of the DeRocher property, along Wolf Creek Trail there on both sides, north and south, and also to the east of the DeRocher driveway. And that virtually you see the crooked tributary that comes from the Little Sioux River up through DeRocher's property, runs through my property. And if you follow me so far,
We think you're talking about these.
yes, if I can come through and I'll point it out to you. I want to make
Are they more than the two that are highlighted there?
this. My property line runs down to here. That's the south edge of my property, and my land goes clear up into here. But the trail here, this is on both sides. This gravel road runs through my property, where you're virtually talking about letting DeRochers drive into their property.
That's the shorter version of
That's
it.
a shorter version.
Okay.
Correct.
That's the
correct. But what I guess I'm worried about, one of the concerns I had with DeRochers, and I've always got along with them. They've been good neighbors so far. But through this creek, different times, this creek, when we get heavy rains up in the hills, comes down and it will flood my property down here. And if they would change any of this or make it so there's more water coming through here, I could have problems with flooding through here and also down here on my brother's property. Because we've farmed this ground since the 80s. And different times when you have what I call over big rains, you can have flooding. Most years you don't have anything. In the county, otherwise everybody's been good to get along with. But when you talk about doing development, that I've had other properties that have had development next to me, and the landlord or somebody or the contractor, let's put it this way, doesn't follow the rules, and I've had some flooding problems and things and I'm just trying to prevent problems or nip them in the bud, I guess as you'd say. But no, this is all my property here and here, and I have no problem with them driving through here as long as they don't block this road when I'm putting the crop in or taking the crop out or anything like that. But Pat and Cindy, I've dealt with them for quite a few years, and they've been good to get along with. We've always worked between the two of us. We put a new fence in between the property line here, and they were more than apt as far as getting along with me, and I have no problem with them developing this. I'm like my brother. I'll take all the development I can get in Woodbury County because I'll tell you what, otherwise our taxes keep. If we can get another tax-based deal in here, wonderful. I applaud for doing it.
have any more comments?
My name is Wade Downey, and we live at the south end of 2021 Wolf Creek Trail. And my main concern is the dust and speed. Other than that, I have no concerns, no problem with it at all. But I am concerned about the dust that will be raised up around the corners.
Okay. Thank you, sir. You got one.
Well, it's dangerous corner.
Yeah, but on that Russell Road is a very dangerous corner. Are you referring to the Solid Cabin? Yeah, Russell South. We've had a truck go in there, off of it, we've had 2 cars go off.
Thank you. Is there anybody else that'd like to speak, please?
Al Pithan, 112 Country Club Drive, Anthem. I'm a landowner in that area as well. I'm a crop and livestock farmer, and we run cow-calf pairs in the area on pasture near grocers. I've been mayor of Anthem for the last 6 years. So I have to take a little different perspective of this, and that's rural economic development. Because we, as a small community, Anthem's 565 people, we really struggle economically. We've lost 4 of our Main Street businesses in the 6 years that I've been mayor. So anything that we can do in our area to attract people, make it a positive quality of life issue, we're very, very favorable to, very positive to. In our community, after this was posted in the paper, I probably had about 10 people ask me what I knew of it. Of course, I had the letter, and then I talked briefly to Pat and Cindy about what was going to happen. All of the comments from the folks in town, and as well as a couple of rural folks, were all positive. They thought anything that could happen that would attract more people to our area was a positive thing. Cities like Sioux City, they tend to suck the life out of our small towns. They do. Things that we're doing in our community now, I know this is a little not related, but we're trying to develop our parks. We're putting in a $100,000 boat ramp into the Little Sioux River for additional kayaking, boating, fishing, and so forth, to try to make it complement Little Sioux Park, which is north of us. People that can kayak and boat down the river. Anything to draw people that make us kind of unique. This is a kind of a unique project that I think could have a positive impact. And I'm sure there's some little hiccups here that will have to be addressed, and I'm confident that Pat and Cindy would take care of those. So I would encourage you to look favorable to the project and approve it. So,
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Pithan. Anybody else have any thoughts they want to share?
Hampton, Iowa, 2287 Lenox Avenue. I'm just friends with Pat and Cindy, and I got a family of 6, and we all love horses, and we enjoy riding, and I think it'd be very beneficial for my children to get to grow up with that only 3 miles from my house, and being able to ride on those, like Pat said, those days that we can't ride outside or enjoy the weather. You can go inside and enjoy that and still get that quality time as a family, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. So I just want to say I'm for it, and we'll be thankful as a community, like Al said, to get it. So, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anything else you want to bring up? Okay, with that, I'd look for a motion to close the public hearing. We have a motion and a second to close the public hearing. All those in favor? Any opposed, same sign? All right. You have? Yeah.
Mr. Rocher,
license for that, do you? For free, as long as they're not selling, I believe, but
I would think not, but
I think that's the way it works, but,
At our church, we have a center where we have weddings, and all we allow is beer, and people have to supply maybe wine or beer, and there has to be somebody there to make sure that the people that consume are legal drinking age. That happened maybe a few times, and that's not easy to deal with at weddings and stuff. It's kind of a fact of life, but you stay away from hard liquor and stuff like that. There's ways you can deal with it and not commercially sell it. You know what I mean? You mentioned weddings and stuff, and they bring it, but you got control over it, and you manage the event. You know, let them know what the ground rules are and what they're responsible and stuff like that. And you always have a go-to person when there's a problem. They have to deal with it, and they got to be there and follow through the event. There's ways to handle that. And when you're first thing that pops into my mind is a bar, you know, and I guess that we got negative feelings about a bar in our area or something like that's going on.
when you made your comments towards this, and correct me if I'm wrong, please, I don't want to mislead anybody, but the way I interpreted it is that you're intending with this, if you had the conditional use permit allow alcohol, that it would be for events and stuff. You're not planning on opening a bar from 12 to 2 o'clock, you know, that type of thing. That's the way I understood that.
Like I indicated, this is our residence. And I keep it by scheduled events only.
That's the way I understood that's what you were asking for, because there was a couple of letter comments and then obviously some other concerns about the liquor portion of it, so that puts a little bit more in perspective, maybe.
Like allowed only during scheduled events. And a restriction. That would be a restriction.
That'd probably be part of the liquor license itself, wouldn't it?
License, yeah.
you just said license, I don't know if they can put specific restrictions other than what's appropriate under state code, hours of operation, that type of thing. You have the authority to place restrictions as you see fit.
I'm getting the feeling that that's not where they're going with this, but, you know,
But what about future owners?
they would be a liquor license under a different,
But
yeah,
Then have to be
Yeah.
they wouldn't have to come back to our board.
If you approve the liquor license component of this request, and didn't put a timeline on its expiration, they would not have to come back. Either the current owner or the next owner.
could a person put
Follows the property.
a conditional for the length of their ownership? Is that such a thing as a condition?
We've never had one of those, but I think there's something illegal doing that.
So that's a possible way to overcome that obstacle if it is one.
But if they get a new liquor license, they still have to go back to the county auditor to get it. The new owner would, but that's to circumvent your input at that time.
So since the meeting's closed, we're deliberating this. A couple of the key issues that people had concerns with was dust control primarily, it seemed like it. That was a pretty heavy one. And it seemed pretty consistent that, at least by the county engineer, that the traffic be directed from the shortest route possible, which should help quite a bit with the dust control. Obviously, it's a public road, so you can drive on any direction they want. But I guess I never had a chance to do the site visit and look at the map. Is the city of Anthony on the closest to the shortest route or the longest?
Is approximately
Closest to the longest.
The longest route.
Yes.
But it's paved road to the other direction of it. I mean, so that would be a longer
They think
travel.
gravel would be the direction, but it's just
Somebody wanted to go
3/10 of a mile.
Center straight into Hampton.
They're gonna,
I would hope they would go the way they came in. Hopefully that's the north side. There's going to be stragglers or stray traffic.
but I'm also guessing this probably isn't the primary draw for the Anthony residents. It's from
Well, the issue you have is, let's say there's someone, under the application, if it's approved, all uses are approved,
You know, if it's signed right, to direct them to that north entrance on 31 and,
Well, that's gonna be, we can put every condition we want on that thing. But it's state of, Iowa roadway right of way. And we can urge the applicant to make those applications to the state to get the signage. Can't guarantee they'll issue. I think you could use the ammunition in the permit you got as, yeah, I need to get this as part of the deal for me to operate.
yeah,
Economically,
Pressure on the state that way, but that doesn't guarantee anything.
no.
Obviously, if it's in there, our department would go back to the state system and have it.
signage is, I don't know if the right way to put it, is probably less critical now than what it used to be, because unless you're familiar with the site, you're going to be using GPS and it's going to take you the shortest route. You know, so if I'm coming here and I'm looking, some people don't even look for signs. They just follow the little arrow on.
Probably signage
Garment.
at the turn you want them to take off 31,
Yeah.
and signage is the one where they GPS
Same.
tell them to take what it says.
Saying arena ahead.
Next exit. Not this one, next one.
And
So,
planning and zoning did recommend that we put it on the right of way, which,
Then Mark Narna's.
again, I think it depends on whether or not the state would interpret this as being
community.
it's a private business, there's no doubt about it. Is it a tourist attraction worth placing signage, informational signage to the general public? That's the key.
Right.
I don't know how they'll,
I was going to say, you were one of those guys, weren't you, Dwight?
Yeah, it was. Right now, you know, it's on the interstate system and stuff like that with a logo signing. But I think you can contact the DOT at the district office and they can lead you in the right direction. Is there, you know. You know, you had a question? You looked like you were going to ask something. Go ahead.
On the apartments, you say they aren't going to be anybody permanent year round. It's just going to be for like the thing. Yes.
Or overnight for guests is what you stated in your narrative. What are your thoughts? Part of what the county engineer had, and not to say his words directly, but basically if traffic does end up on that other road where dust control could be a requirement at a later date, and if that was to happen, it doesn't want the county to pay for it, so it'd be on you. So your thoughts?
We've already contacted Marx's Industry at 85 cents a foot.
But that's something you're open
I was
to.
going to put it on last week just to show that we can control the dust, but then the weatherman was in my favor. He did the job for me.
Okay.
and obviously you aren't dust controlling the whole segment. You're
Just in front of the homes.
Yeah.
In front of the
Just
homes.
Some distance, usually from each.
I tried to get it, they asked to get it, they sent me a contract, you know, that I was signed, but I think it was like 0.2 tenths of a mile or 3
guessing a percentage of the vehicles are going to be pulling trailers, which, you know, it's fair to say most people are responsible about stuff like that. You know, if they have a horse and a trailer or $40,000 camper behind them.
Never say never.
Yeah, but there is, you know, it's the 5% of the people that cause most of the problems too.
Yeah. Your county engineer did state here that when he says the roadway will support the use, in his opinion, he's taken into consideration speed also.
Okay.
I have some things that I've been writing down that I've been wondering about, and we've talked about them. If I can kind of summarize some of the things. And we talked about drainage, and the Corps of Engineers has done a drainage study on the Little Sioux and the tributaries. So some of the things that I'm thinking I mentioned to you is available in a document already that already exists. And you said you've done some things with upstream. I'm not sure I heard you right, but let's just leave it like that. But you need to be careful about changing U.S. waters without having permits. That's why you can't straighten a channel, because you increase the velocity and things of that nature. But somebody that's you're going to deal with a drainage study or something like that, that can maybe settle a lot of these issues about flood, no floods. I don't have any idea what the drainage area of that creek is, and you know that should be in the drainage study too. And there's certain things you can do and certain things you can't do. And county government or SCS is involved in some of the things that maybe you can do. And then controlling the runoff of your property, that's another issue, and I don't know if that's appropriate for what I'm hearing and what I see. But you never know where that's going to go. And probably most of this farmland they talked about is probably in the 100-year floodplain anyway, so and it's probably considered in that drainage study. So I know you don't want your land flooded when you got crops on it. However, things happen, you know, that property owners don't have control over. And some of the things that I was wondering about when you build it, I thought it was a pretty cool plan myself. I was kind of excited about it. But I wondered about the water availability, and it's potable. And you're going to have a lot of people there at one time or not, you know, and I don't know the water quality issue. And that'll probably be addressed by a county office or something like that. And I wonder about the septic system, and can it take RVs dumping gray water, brown water, and stuff like that. I don't know what would be allowed or not, and what you'd have to take consideration of. No dumping of facilities or anything like that, because I was wondering about the septic, you know. Yeah, that all have to be sized. Building code, I wonder about, there's going to be things going on in there, and I'm thinking there needs to be fire suppression of some kind, sprinkler system or something. If you're going to have animals in there, and people are you're going to board animals or stuff like that. I don't know if that's necessary or not, but when you have apartment buildings or, you know, people are staying there, there are certain regulations that you have to deal with for fire suppression. And the building, the way you design it for emergency access or anything like that, should a fire or some event take place, maybe needs some consideration. Whoever examines that should advise you about that. I think we beat alcohol to death. You know, it is what it is. The commercial sales aspects of it sounds to me like this is not going to be a large commercial sale type place. And I know there was a lot of reservations made to it, and frankly, I don't have any concerns about that being an issue to the I see too many positives associated with this to get hung up on some of this other stuff. So those are things that I kind of thought about when I looked at it.
So, have we officially asked for staff recommendations yet?
You really haven't, but I think you've touched on most of the things. I can go through my checklist if you want me to offer anything on that.
I value your comment.
And I'll start with one issue that we haven't addressed, but the applicants are aware of it, and I think they're partway down the road in dealing with it. On the map behind you are all the 11 parcels owned by the Bureau. You can see there's a pinch
say that legally, property owner must accept water that comes down in a tributary through their property without making any changes or anything like that, like plugging it or damming it up. By law, you cannot do that.
So that should already be in place then. I mean,
That's drainage law. That's drainage law in the state of Iowa. So,
okay.
Downstream from this project,
yeah.
there's another set of rules that say you can't do any grading to increase those flows above their natural rates.
And part of his permitting states that, correct? That he's for his grading from.
Yes, it's part of our floodplain management ordinances.
And drainage laws that are, that's true for the state of Iowa, not the county.
Those
That's
ordinances are written by FEMA and you adopt them, so they're pretty inclusive.
When we get to that part of it, we could at least visit about retention to equal hard surface, retention area to equal the hard surface, sort of like what a Sam's does. They put all the parking if it's required or requested by somebody.
we'll change the runoff a little bit, but you know,
Just to kind of shoot down some of the conditions that, that's not the right word to use, to touch base on some of the conditions that may possibly be required, is that the easement be recorded. The standard permits maintained, which that's you have a regular comment that you put in for that. That's pretty boilerplate, don't you? Okay. Dust control is an issue. We've touched base on this on more than one occasion, where basically we put that in the hands of the county engineer.
We would basically just refer to his comments made in that email dated such and such a date that the applicant appeared to know.
So that should be easily hit for us. I mean, we should be able to do that one.
Express the fact he's willing to do it and has already tried to do it.
And if there's the strong thought that there runoff from this new construction or hard surfacing addition, that that be dealt with. Maybe I guess I don't know. We haven't dealt with that one yet, but I don't know if a retention pond. Do you have much surface area that could be used as a retention pond if the hard surfacing and the building square footage was to add additional flows that became a problem?
The way the land is situated is that everything flows to that creek. And the creek flows to the property.
but a retention plan would be if you pave a parking lot and all of a sudden your runoff becomes 100%. If you pave a parking lot and you build your building, I know the square footage of the building it changes the runoff characteristics, so the water is going to go downstream quicker. That's what we're talking about.
So the retention pond would hold it and release it into the creek at a controlled rate. If you had that 3-inch rain in an hour, all that water's going to run off and run into the creek, which overall is not a big additional percentage with all the other rain that comes
Right.
through. But if there was a retention pond that say held that many square footage of water for 3 inches, cubic feet, acre feet, whatever you want to call it.
I think getting a handle.
I don't know if that's something that anybody's even considering. I'm not concerned, but maybe the Ottomans.
I think getting a handle. There's a drainage study done for the Little Sioux River and the tributaries, and any registered engineer can get their handle on it, or you can work through the county if they can get, and they can make an assessment. It's it's not cutting stone. You can't do what Mother Nature is going to do. If it rains hard, it's going to run downstream, like it or not. But there seems to be a lot of worry about it. But some of that land they're talking about that they're worried about is probably in the 100-year floodplain too. So it's probably going to get flooded anyways, whether you do anything or not.
Am I saying this right when I say Ortner? Is that okay? The Ortner brothers made comments on that. Was one of your concerns was the water? Do you think it's enough of a concern where there needs to be stipulations put on it, or do you have a confidence that they'll deal with it? Or not saying that we're going to do either.
But the erosion, I just worry. I know how things go sometimes. They've got a great idea. It's going to help the county, but they're not going to be here forever. So I'm just concerned that the next person comes and all of a sudden they've got approval to do all this stuff, so we're going to make it 4 times bigger. And all of a sudden the parking lot becomes 12 times bigger.
Is that a reality?
So I just want protected that.
Oh, I see. So
What would occur here is everything he said potentially could happen.
maybe if you put some language in it that this pretty much restricts the site of development that's approved. You know,
Scope restriction.
Well, but what are you going to tie? You got to tie the measurement of the restriction to some criteria. Is it going to be square footage of structures? Is it going to be?
Why couldn't you say any substantial change, such as adding structures or changing the characteristics of the runoff area or something like that would require
any additional building you would be permitting anyhow.
Additional building permit, we make it jump through another conditional use permit to enhance
Right.
conditional use.
Right.
We dealt with the facts then.
Is hard surfacing
The only
permit
thing
required?
that would mitigate that is if somebody converted the interior of the structure to some other related use that increased the bleacher. What do we got about?
Rodeos?
200 and some lineal feet of bleacher space. I measured it once off the plan. But let's say somebody converted that to where, hey, you can hold 10 times as number of people for some related use. I couldn't control that because it wouldn't, a building permit would be required to do it.
Is there building occupancy restrictions like cities and most municipalities? And if you have a building that's used for public purposes, you can have X amount of people. I don't know if the county has
There
some.
are construction codes that we have adopted locally. Those are all state driven.
Well, if you had some language that any substantial change or use is approved, or they must go through approval or something like that. I mean, you're looking for a long telescope down the road. But
Again, it just says there should not be some percentage of additional drainage runoff.
Maximum occupancy number of how many people he thinks will use the facility at any one time, even if you have multiple events going on at the same time, some number. And then you could say, hey, should you ever have to increase that number, you have to come back.
are there fire codes that deal with that?
Sure there are.
Yeah.
State fire codes.
Sure.
That's why we
Their impact?
Which
Does,
you would have heard from fire chief.
well, maybe you can ask them and they can.
Require an assessment be made of the drainage based on the building and based on the gravel in the plans. Could an initial assessment be required from DNR, the water, the drainage?
They're professionals.
Runoff should be a pretty straight math numbers.
Any future alteration that would
Increase that.
alter the drainage, you'd have to reapply for a conditional use permit.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you can do that. That's proper.
So maybe lay a base of the initial assessment of
This
the drainage
This is,
to not accelerate.
yeah, that's what I was kind of getting at. This is the venue, and anything that dramatically, or that's not the right word, substantially changes the intent and the use of the venue must be reviewed for permit or something like that.
That's going to happen naturally based on any new structures or increase in structures. And it will happen naturally any change in use.
Oh, you're saying we don't, that's okay.
It happens automatically.
Okay,
Or legally it's supposed to happen.
legally,
It's supposed to come in here. You're restricted to just the use that you approve,
yeah,
the size of the structure you approve. If he changes any of those,
yeah.
it's supposed to come back.
The neighbors will tattle on you. I don't, well, we're just trying to,
It's the self-enforcement mechanism.
yeah, okay.
What happens. And you can still put conditions there, but they should happen whether you do or not.
Yeah. I'm not, any substantial.
We don't want to
No, I want to kill it.
but on the other hand, we do want to protect the concerns of the neighbors.
Yeah, right. Substantial changes to the layout and the design approved by this conditional use permit
If
is not.
we have basically your plan, correct? I mean, of what you're anticipating doing with your parking and such.
We do not, since this went from a kind of private deal, which he has permitted, we're going to need another permit, which since it's a
has to be done. We don't have to put conditions onto that.
And that
That's-
may drive how much drainage, what the drainage assessment is,
It could be, right, yeah.
and what the engineer recommends for the parking lot be.
Yep.
It may be just crushed rock,
Yep.
or you might request something else. I doubt it would probably be crushed rock.
Yeah,
But
gravel.
you're going to throw off a little more water with crushed rock than you do with just dirt. So it's all part of that assessment.
Yep.
So everybody's intertwined.
I don't see any reason why we can't meet the conditions that are laid before us, and that's probably, would you say that'd be the toughest hiccup we've had so far?
Which one?
The water, potential water damage drainage?
I've got two down on my list so far, just you talking, the record the easement, and then some type of professional assessment of the drainage. Once we have all the data to provide that part, whoever he hires to do that, or gets existing data
Yeah.
somewhere. So we've got to manipulate that
Yeah.
to provide it to us to guarantee
Would
water
that,
flow rates don't increase because of any of the construction.
would that professional assessment typically include recommendations to,
Mike?
It would impact the site plan. They may request, they may say, hey, we've got this issue, we can solve it by detention or retention or placement of forest areas on the parcel someplace else.
Would
There's
it-
a number of ways to deal
would
with
it work to put the condition on there that assessment and the recommendations from that assessment be followed?
Yeah, that's kind of what I got
Yeah,
here.
so that should cover our water retention problem then.
You request some type of certified assessment of the drainage resulting construction place.
Would that somewhat satisfy the ordiners? Okay, so then that, do you see that's an obstacle that's unsurmountable, or do you see that as an obstacle that you can't get through, is having an assessment done, which apparently is part of the next step anyhow, correct?
Well, we need it in a copy in our file to substantiate.
So it's a
that
requirement.
floodplain development permit process.
So I guess part of the requirement that's already there is just we're going to need documentation to cover that.
Building permit site plan.
Is any of this area in the drainage district? It's not. Well, most of your, certain engineering firms in this county and other counties, they deal with drainage district management and assessment and stuff like that. And they would be very much aware of the drainage study on the Little Sioux River. And maybe you could contact Mark, or Mark County Engineer might know some folks or something like that, and you could get that assessment made, I would think. So I know there's quite a few.
So we should be able to overcome that one by,
If you require the assessment, we would make sure it was in place and the terms of the
yes, sir?
recommendations were in place as part of the building permit process.
So professional drainage assessment.
Yes, the drainage be part of the
Well, they're
professional assessment that's already going to take place. Yeah.
Their expertise would be drainage, drainage and management of it,
And I think that'll satisfy the audience.
structural
We
engineering.
have something in there.
I kind of misspoke when I told you I only had two. I've got the easement, the dust control,
The easement.
all the engineer's dust control program.
How do you use that land now between
And then
that pinch point?
easement standard permits maintained. That's part of your regular.
You showed that pinch point between your parcels. If you've got riding trails up there, how do you have folks deal with that? I mean, you got a point where your parcels meet with two others. How do you deal with it now?
Yeah, that's all. I mean, that's covered. Signage is.
There you go. So getting an easement will not be a problem.
We don't have, and the zoning, the applicant make every effort to place the signage.
I can't require it if you don't want to get here and go get it.
Okay. So,
So it's not going to be a problem to get something
that's
in writing and file it.
every effort to anyhow.
Oh, he's got the easement right there.
Well, the easement for the horse riding. Yeah.
We got the easement, that's
But
recorded though.
yeah, we have to record that as required.
Oh, recorded.
Yeah, so that's an easy one. You already got that one beat. So
You got your ducks in order. I know. Did a good job.
So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
So what was the fifth one? I didn't hear.
I'll just read them off to make sure we're all on the same page. Record the easement, dust control per county engineer comments, drainage, professional drainage assessment, and then our standard language on obtain all local, state, and federal permits. That'll take care of all the wells, septic, all that.
sewer, DNR, water.
And then that he made every attempt to get the signage.
Well, fire's in there too.
And that's
Fire.
that's not a requirement to occur. It's just to make every effort. He can't control it or not.
Signage and
But you're going to have the support of the county, most likely.
We'll see how powerful your zonings are.
So is there any concerns that you guys have that you think we're missing?
I would just say signage and all communication with people who are using the facility, because
Yeah,
most likely, there'll be
Communication's a
emails
good
and
idea.
letters or something, and just encourage them to use the north entrance. I mean, it's something we can really.
Signage recommendation and marketing the north entrance.
Right.
Is that agreeable? Yeah. Most of your stuff referred to.
if you were to send out flyers, you would recommend the north entrance. Yeah, that type of thing.
Use this exit.
Yeah, I get every impression that you guys are trying to do everything you can to make this work.
That way, it's, if there's a new owner, it's part of what we
It's
are
recorded.
approving.
Do we have any more comments or questions, concerns from the people here? That's pretty good. You guys seem like we're reaching anything that we should make it unsurmountable for you? Everything we're asking is pretty much so.
I think the only one that will be a little bit of a, not a challenge, but it's going to, either we're going to have to find the data somewhere for free, or we're going to have to get a professional to assemble the data and run the numbers
For what?
on this drainage.
Well,
It'll cost some money.
probably. Yeah.
But there's already has to be from the floodplain modifications he's making, somebody has to come in and check that already, right?
The bottom line is you need somebody to sign that says this is it. It's drained, certified.
With that.
It's some hydrology.
Yep.
Or just a civil engineer would probably,
Well, there's a drainage study, and they have to look at what's available and if anything's been done and things of that nature. They're just not going to sign something without looking at it. Their license is on the line.
I think this will be restricted, not restricted. The only area that's going to be assessed is the area where you use additional hard surface, which means that probably a single parcel, maybe one adjoining one.
please.
Our lower portions before the creek goes underneath the road to the bridge, that's retainage.
That what?
That has been flooded.
Can you talk in the microphone?
You're talking about trying to retain the water. The bridge
Restricts flow?
restricts the flow. That bottom has been flooded several times, and that's the reason why we're trying to get something above flood level for our activities. Any of this water that is coming off this proposed building and campsite all comes down to that bottom. And the road contains most of it, the portion that it can overflow on the road. There was a 15-inch rain on the street, we had 2 inches, we got all the water.
You end up with it already.
Yeah, I mean, this has been ongoing. I don't see where it's going to affect anything. Anything that we're doing right now, all the water still flows through the same channels, through the same creeks, through the same bridge.
That's right.
The acres that drain into this creek compared to what you guys are doing is so minimal. It's so minimal. I don't think there's going to be an
And the
impact.
dams that I put in, they're not out of the creek.
You know, that 100-year floodplain, that was developed by the Army Corps of Engineers, and they did a lot of that off of history of flooding in the area and photogrammetry, and I don't think there's been any hard survey on it. I know they're finding that out in Sioux City too, with Prairie Creek, that the property owners have appealed, that they were put in the floodplain, they've appealed it and done hard surveys based on the datum points that are already established. We know the elevations and go back to their property. They take them out of the floodplain. So, but there's a reason it was set up that way, is to protect the investment upstream, or and if you're like Ames, Iowa has a big floodplain with that creek that runs through. And the university built a football stadium. They built this, they built that, Hilton Coliseum and everything, and that restricted all the flow. It took where that water spread out, and it becomes that's kind of what you're doing when you build a building there and change the characteristics of the flow. But sometimes it can have a large impact and sometimes not, and that's part of the flood study.
I'm looking for any more comments from the board on this. Then I guess we're looking for a motion to either approve or deny, or with conditions.
We approve
with conditions.
Stipulations that the 5 stipulations that we've accumulated.
Do you have those down, or do I need to read them again? Does any board member want them read again, or do you understand them by your voting
I think.
as potential conditions?
So we have a motion.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the conditional use permit listed on item agenda 3. And is there no further comments, I guess? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. The motion carries.
I heard 5-0, right?
Yes.
5-0.
So with that, with all the stipulations we put on you, but good luck. I think it's a grand idea.
You bet. Did we bring up anything that you haven't got in your file? You guys did some good groundwork.
So our next agenda item is any new citizens wishing to be heard. We have nothing there. Commission's comment or inquiries?